So there we go, the first short film showcase #1 of the Romford Horrific Film Festival. We are back once again, and it's time to talk to these guys. So obviously you guys will know what's been going on with the cinema and everything over the last few months and what we are doing going forward. And officially, I believe, these are the first short films to be shown at the festival and at what is soon to be the new year. How does that feel, guys?
Can you go first, please?
Okay. Exciting, but a little bit nerve-wracking. Well, you make the film, you see it on like your monitor, then it's up on a really big screen, and it's like, this is what it actually looks like. But it's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like the highlight of my career so far.
Wow.
So that is that. It's the biggest screen I've ever seen anything of mine on. Yeah, it's a lovely cinema as well. I mean, I believe they've done some work in it. The seats are comfortable, the quality is great, and I'm very flattered that they opened up with our films.
Well, you guys have set the tone, so, you know, it's only down from here. So first of all, first proper question then, what projects were you involved in that we've just seen up on the screen? Tell us who you are and what you had to do with all the projects.
Sure, so my film's Fetch. It was a 4-minute short film about a guy being haunted by a mysterious dog-shaped artifact. Yeah, and I wrote it, directed it, and edited it, and scored it, and a bunch of other stuff below the line, like most other indie filmmakers do.
My film was Bon Appetit. I made it about, I think it was just under or around 2 years ago when I was 17 years old. And it stars Ray Murphy as the Colin the Artist or voiceover, and Glenn Maltman, who did the score. And then, well, I was setting camera up and filming, but I edited it as well. And I've got some new projects coming up soon, actually, as well. I'm casting for a short film, which has a budget this time, which will be exciting. And that's hopefully filming in a couple of weeks' time. Hopefully, just finalising the last location. But yeah, I filmed it, edited it, and then shot it.
So on that, for both of you as well, because indie filmmaking, you are pretty much doing everything. You know, you have to wear so many different caps. But what is your most gratifying, your favourite part of the process, like directing, editing, sound mix, anything like that? What's your favourite part of the process?
I need a minute to think about that, so I'm going to throw you under the bus. You go first.
With me, I think the part I enjoy most is the editing, because I'm an editor. I edit for there's a TV channel called Talking Pictures TV, and I work with them and some production companies doing TV stuff for them. So that's all I spend all my days just in my room, just typing away. So yeah, I think the thing I enjoy most is the editing, because it's kind of, you see it come together, and then you can kind of, when you're shooting it, you've got the story in your head, but when it comes to the edit, you see it and you're like, does this work? Yes, no, you can kind of...
And what was the moment when you were editing that you were like, yeah, this does work?
I think kind of, because at first I had it with, no, it was just music, and I was like, I think it needs more, so you can kind of adjust it, because it was kind of, I filmed it by myself, it wasn't really, well, I was in it as well, it was me cooking. I can kind of adjust it, but I think if it was like, I had other actors in it, it would be a lot harder to, but I think, yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Oh, my turn. I'm the exact opposite from you. I hate the edited phase. I absolutely do. That's why I have my editor here with me. He's also my therapist. I love the dreaming phase, so the pre-production phase, where you first get the idea, where it's all very amorphous, where you don't really know what it is, but you also know what it is. And that's the bit that really inspires you to, you know what, I'm going to commit the next couple of months or years to this project. And for me personally, everything after that is trying to fight every other instinct to not make it. Do you have enough money? Do you have enough time? Do you have enough resources? Do you have enough locations? Do you have the editing skills to make it? Can you actually do the VFX? All that jazz. It's a constant fight through to final delivery. But the minute you get the idea, wherever you are, where there's no limitations to dreaming, and that's the minute I love the most.
So with that in mind, because you love that phase the most, how much did it actually change in production?
Very good question. Like you mean during the shoot,
Like
or
during the shoot and post-production as well?
okay? Post-production it changed massively. During the shoot, the one thing that changed was only one thing changed during the shoot, and that was because we ran out of time. The way you're an editor in your day job, I'm an AD in my day job. So time controls are kind of like my bread and butter. And we were meant to have rain streaking down the windows in our first opening shot. And it was meant to be a bit more moody. We just didn't have time to set up our rain machine, which was just a jet wash. We ran out of time for that. So that kind of changed the mood and tone of the opening shot a little bit. Other than that, it was very tightly structured and our schedule was really good. So yeah, that was fine. In post-production, we changed the score literally a couple of days before submitting the DCP to us. So
Heard that a lot.
yeah, so that was a big change. But other than that, it kind of stayed roughly the same from the original script, treatment. We didn't really have a script because we didn't have any dialogue. But the original text, it didn't change much between that and final delivery, other than the score and the mood of the first shot.
What would you say with these shorts is the biggest thing you've, number one, learned about filmmaking as such, but also, most importantly, what you've learned about yourself during this process?
Go first.
But with me, so I think this was the second ever short film I ever made, or micro short film. And the part I found the hardest, or I didn't like that much, was doing it by myself. So now my upcoming projects, I've got people on board, producers, cinematographers, and I think it's good to like start out kind of experimenting what you like doing. But the thing I definitely want to improve on and like explore more is the collaboration with people, because then you can bring on new ideas, you can make projects a lot better, and you can bring on people who are really talented, and they might have ideas which are really good and even make the project even better. I forgot what the question was.
Could you remind me the question as well?
What you've maybe learned about yourself that you didn't really know in this process?
Cool. I've made a couple of short films in the past. Not loads, all of them very micro budget, but varying scale. My first ever short film was similar actually to your approach, wherein I did everything. The credits was literally my name and the roles fading in and out over, written, directed, starring, shot by, edited by. So I've done the whole one-man army kind of thing. I've done a few music videos with a lot more people involved. This was kind of in the middle. This only had a cast and crew of 4 people. Myself, the actor who also produced, the DP, and the gaffer who also was a Steadicam operator. And we had barely any budget. It was self-funded. Our budget was 60 quid, and most of that was for parking in Oxford because we shot my mate's house. And I think what I learned is, again, along the same lines of collaboration, because there's some benefits that we had over the shoots I've had with bigger crews, and there's some benefits we had over the shoots that were just me. And the main benefit we had was that the 4 people I had involved in this, and I will name them, Bartek, Sam, and Roy, they were like brothers to me making this. It's like we processed all the ideas together, we were all on the same page, we moved quickly, we knew what we contributed, and we knew how best to collaborate and talk to each other. So it was a massive relief making this film compared to the bigger stuff where I was pushing myself with more people even more, because it kind of, when you're directing and writing and producing, you're kind of like leading the entire team and you need to cover everyone with these. It just felt like a family doing it together, and I really thoroughly enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was something it was a new experience that I really enjoyed making that.
So have you both completely, truly caught the bug for this filmmaking malarkey, and you're going to continue doing it for the rest of your days?
Unfortunately, yes. Or fortunately. I mean, it is great fun. I'm quite a creative person. I couldn't really sit in an office, well, I'm an editor, but I couldn't really sit in an office all day and just like I couldn't do that. But I kind of find editing different for me because I enjoy it and I like seeing the whole thing come together. But hopefully I can go full time, make a career out of it. Hopefully.
I mean, best of luck. I've been trying for a minute. Yeah, I've kind of had the bug for a while, for a little bit too long. But what this has done is it's given me the bug for horror specifically. So this was the first horror I ever did. Yeah, and it's a different muscle, and it's one that I really enjoyed making, especially through this film, or working in, especially through this film. So yeah, I've caught that bug a little bit. But I do have a few other projects in the pipeline. The next one is a food documentary, which is very different.
Horror.
Yeah, which, I mean, you did the food thing, didn't you? So yeah. But yeah, no, I definitely have the horror bug a little bit now, and I'm looking forward to playing with a few more jump scares and maybe ghosts next time. That'll be fun.
Excellent. Well, we'll be here every year, so keep bringing them. I do have one last question that I'd like to ask, but do we have anybody in the audience who wants to throw anything out there? You will have to shout, though, unfortunately. Go on then.
And this is to you. How was the meal?
I did not eat that. I would have probably been very ill if I ate that because it was, well, the budget was £2.50 and the £2.50 was the heart. It was actually a heart. I went to, well, my mum actually went. My mum got a heart from the butcher's. I think it's a pig's heart. It might be a lamb's. I'm not too sure. But yeah, I wouldn't have eaten that.
It looked very well seasoned. The onions and garlic look great. Like some chef's table.
Do we got another hand there? Go for it.
Yeah, this is a question about fetch. Where is that dog's head prop right now?
Which one? The head or the mask?
The black one.
The black one.
Yeah.
It is currently scaring my girlfriend. I have it over the wardrobe. She absolutely hates it. The eyes actually glow as well, so it's great for Halloween.
Yeah, it's a great prop.
Oh, thank you. I've used it for a couple of projects actually. So yeah, I'm getting a lot of mileage out of it.
Shared universe. Anyone else? Right, so the last question that I have for you is, everybody's inspired by somebody, everybody looks towards other people's projects, everybody always is finding inspiration everywhere. If you could show this shot to any one filmmaker, living or dead, for a little bit of feedback, which filmmaker would you show this shot to?
Oh, you're going first on this one, I'm sorry.
Well, a director I really like is, this one isn't very much inspired by him, but one of my favourite directors is Edgar Wright. I think his style is really good. I love his stories, the pacing, they flow really nicely. And the short film I'm making really soon called Big Boss Man is basically Hot Fuzz combined with Sex Education and The Godfather all mashed up into one. So I think a director I'd love to meet and kind of show my work to or future projects to would be Edgar Wright because I just love his stuff.
Yourself?
A director I'd love to meet and chat shop with is probably Steve McQueen. He's been hugely inspiring to me. This film was in no way inspired by any of his work. And I haven't really done any projects I'd say are quite aligned with his style. But this specific project, there are a couple of directors I'd love to show it to because a couple of very specific short films inspired my approach to this. One is Chloe Wicks, who I've met before and I've worked with before. She made a short film called Cubicle, which is kind of similar but incredibly good. Instead of a dog, it's a baby mask that she works with in that. And there's another filmmaker called David Sandberg, I believe, who did Lights Out, which became very famous. Yeah. So both of them are specific people who I'd love to send fetch to. But yeah, Steve McQueen, dream lunch.
Get them sent then.
Yeah.
Get it done.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for giving us these shots and letting us show them here today. Thanks for submitting and being the first ones up on Horrific today and for the festival and the new cinema going forward. Very quickly, what's next? And we'll wrap that up.
You go first. You said a little bit about your next film.
So this is the short film I'm making really soon, hopefully the end of March filming, is called Big Boss Man. And like I said, it's basically Hot Fuzz, Sex Education, and The Godfather all mashed up into one. And it's going to be the longest short I've ever made. It's going to be roughly 20 minutes, and it has a budget. I'm working with with my TV work, I work with a producer who's like a part of like BAFTA Connect, and he's basically he really liked the script. I sent him the script, I was like, I want to make this. And he was like, okay, let's do it. We applied for BFI funding, but unfortunately didn't get it, but it's really hard to get, very competitive. So that's happening. I'm going to be looking for cast and crew as well coming up. Well, literally, the call's coming out this week to start filming it. But it should be a lot of fun, hopefully. A bit nervous, but I am excited.
By budget, do you mean £10?
A bit more than £10 this time, because I want to be able to put like in the short film I made, none of the composer or were paid. So I would really like to I'm very big about I want to be able to pay people who I work with. I think that's quite a big thing, but it's very hard starting out because films are expensive to make.
And up next for yourself?
So a few projects in the pipeline. Next up is a documentary about jollof rice, which was edited by my friend up there, Alex, my therapist up there, Alex. So that hopefully should be coming out in the next couple of weeks. We'll have rounded up the grade and sound mix now. After that, pitching for a few things, trying to get a few things out there. The next horror is probably a zombie comedy in a kebab shop, which I've been trying to get funded for a while. We failed at the BFI Film Fund last year as well, but second time lucky, hopefully. Yeah.
Is that going to be like just a Saturday night in Romford?
That's a good show. I mean, we think it's almost slightly more central, but yeah, the funny thing about the theme of it is that it's the idea that nightlife in London hasn't really changed, despite the fact that everyone's now a zombie. So that's the gag.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much for submitting. Thank you for letting us show up here, and most of all, thank you for being here today. Can I get a little round of applause from you?